Welcome back to the Brantzen Poker Vlog. I'm Lexo.
And I'm Brantzen. Hopefully this guy doesn't stack me. So
Hopefully
hit that
I
intro.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing is that I just don't like till, you know. Alright, we got the flush. Okay, he's got a set of eights. We got him. Hold.
Tell him he's got a lot of class, and it's all low.
Lexo Poker was in town, so I messaged him to see if he wanted to play, and here we are. Today we're bumping up the stakes to 510. I buy in for $1,000, and one of the first hands I pick up is Ace King off in the cutoff. The low jack opens to $35. Let's start off my first ever pot of 510 with a 3-bet, and I bump it up to $105. The button cold calls, and the low jack comes along as well. We're 3 ways to a flop that comes 2, 4, 5, all clubs. The low jack checks. I have no pair, no clubs, so I check, and the button checks as well. The turn is the 10 of clubs, and now there's just no hope for my hand. The low jack checks, I check, and the button bets $150. The low jack calls, I fold, and the river comes a 5. The button ends up betting $310 on the river and takes it down. The next significant hand I get is aces under the gun +1. Let's go. And I open to $35. The low jack calls, then the hijack 3-bets me to $150. It folds back to me, and I take about 20 seconds.
Time.
I want him to think that I'm pondering a call, but all I'm really thinking about is Vegas and the frickin' Mirage. I put in the 4-bet to $410. The low jack gets out of the way, and the hijack says those 2 magical words every person with aces wants to hear. I fold. Just kidding, he says all in. I snap call for a total of $800. He has kings, and he's pretty much dead on the flop. The board runs out clean, and just like that, we're up over $600 on the session. Next up, I have king queen off on the button, and the hijack opens to $35. The cutoff calls, so we have here a late position open and a call. King queen is a perfect hand to 3-bet with, and I make a raise to $140. Just like a telemarketer, the big blind comes out of the depths of the underworld with an unwanted cold call. The hijack folds, but the cutoff comes along too, and we see a flop that comes king, jack, 7, rainbow. It checks to me, and I want to charge any draws or weaker pairs, so I bet $210, a little less than half the pot. They both fold, and we take it down. Things are going well, so how about we get aces again, this time in the small blind. There are 4 limpers. I definitely have to raise it up here, and I make it $80. The under the gun and button make the call, and we're 3 ways to a flop of king 5-8 with 2 hearts. Seems like a great flop for me, and I bet $150. Only the under the gun calls, and the turn is another 8. Now I think of what to do. When the under the gun limps and then just calls my raise preflop, I don't think he'll have any great kings like ace king or king queen, so his strongest king will most likely be king jack. This turn is also quite bad since I don't think I'll ever have an 8 when I raise at preflop, then bet the flop, but he could have some suited 8s here when he limps and calls. It would be disastrous to get raised here, so I just check, and he bets $200. I make the call, and the river is the 7 of hearts, bringing in the flush draw. I check again, and this time he bets $300. It's quite small relative to the pot, so I toss in the call, and he shows us 8, 10 of clubs for the bad news. All things considered, I think we lost the minimum, but I'm not gonna lie, it still does not feel good losing over $700. I take down a couple more pots with C-bets or delayed C-bets, and then Lex messages me saying there's an open seat at his table, so I make the switch. A few hands in, I pick up ace-9 off in the big blind. Lex opens to $35 from the hijack, the button calls, and I call as well. The flop comes out ace-10-9 with 2 spades. I flop top and bottom pair, and I check. Lex bets $100, the button folds, and it's on me. There are a ton of draws on this board, so if Lex wants to see this one through, I'm not going to be a cheap date. I raised to $310 targeting draws and strong aces. Lex thinks, then flips over an ace and makes the fold. Later he told me he folded ace queen.
I'm gonna have to watch that one.
Looks like I got a new fan.
Next up, I'm on the button and I look down at the pocket rockets again. What in the aces is going on here? I've gotten aces 3 times today, won a big one, lost a big one. Hopefully it's time to win another one. The low jack opens to $25, the hijack calls, and I put in the 3-bet to $105. Both the low jack and hijack call were 3 ways to a flop that comes jack 8-2 with 2 spades. It checks to me, and I bet half pot $150. The low jack folds, but then the hijack raises to $450. What is he doing this with? He shouldn't have any 2 pairs here, and he shouldn't have a set of jacks because he most likely would have 3-bet preflop instead of just calling the low jacks open. He could have a set of 8s or maybe 2s. He also could have quite a few draws here. I double check my aces and see that I do not have the ace of spades, making it even more likely he could have a spade draw. I decide to put on maximum pressure and go all in for $1,100. If he has a set, I guess I'm going broke, but if he has a draw, I'm going to make him pay for it. He goes in the tank for about a minute, then folds and frantically tries to check the next card in the deck. What do you guys think he had? And how would you have played aces there? Let me know in the comments. Later, I pick up 4-5 of clubs in the cutoff. It folds to me, and I open to $35. Only the big blind calls, and the flop comes out 8-9-6 with 2 hearts. He checks, and this board should connect better with his range than mine, so I choose to check back. The turn comes a 7, and now we have the low end of the straight. The big blind bets $30. I don't think raising is a good option because he could easily have a 10 for a higher straight, so I just make the call. The river is the king of hearts completing the flush draw, and he checks. At this point, I don't think he's calling with many hands worse than mine, so I check back, and good thing I did because he shows queen 10 of diamonds for a higher straight. Now I have pocket 9s on the button and the under the gun opens to $35. I make the call and the big blind comes along as well. 3 ways to a flop of queen 4-7 rainbow. The big blind checks and the under the gun continues firing for $50. I have position and a pair, so I'm not folding quite yet, and the big blind gets out of the way. The turn is another queen, and now it's more unlikely that the under the gun has a queen. On top of that, he checks, and now I'm pretty sure I'm ahead, unless he has a hand like kings or aces that is now scared of a queen. I check. The river is a 2, not changing anything, and he now bets pretty big, $150. I don't think he would bet this big with kings or aces, as I'm probably only going to call with a better hand than his. With a big bet, he's polarizing himself, saying he either has a really strong hand or a bluff. For some reason, I think it smells a bit fishy, and I call, and he flips over pocket 7s. A full house. Yep, that'll do it. Last hand of the night, I pick up jack 10 off in the cutoff and the low jack limps. This guy had been limping bad hands, so I decided to raise it up in position to $45. Only he calls, and the flop comes king 4-5 rainbow. He checks. This is a dry board that connects well with my range, so I make a small c-bet of $35. He calls, and the turn is a queen, giving us an open-ended straight draw. He checks again. I picked up equity, so this is a great turn to keep barreling on, and I bet $105. He folds, and soon after that, I decide to cash out and call it a night.
All right, so my first time playing 5-10 went pretty well. I was in for 1,000, out for 1,589. Got super lucky hitting aces 3 times. Won with them, lost with them, won with them again. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hit that like, subscribe if you're not, and I'll see you in the next one.